Okay, we're going live a little bit early to kind of get settled in. So we're about 1 minute out. If anybody's out there, say hello, leave us a comment, tell us who you are, where you're from, what's going on, if you care to. And in a minute, we will get to today's program, which is going to involve going through some questions that people have asked us over the years that we think are kind of interesting, and we'll kind of go through and answer those. And if anyone else has comments or questions along the way, we will do our best to answer those as well within reason. Okay, we are now live. I guess it's close enough. We are live. Well, hi everybody. This is Lee from Skirmish Wargames. Lynn is on the road this week, so I am piloting the colony ship solo today. So it's just you and me. So if you have any questions or whatever to add to today's discussion, or just want to kind of tell us what's going on in your world, that would be great. We hope you are staying cool. Addicted to Lead, just north of NYC. Well, welcome. New York City, never been there. I've been in the country area of New York State, but I never made it to the city. But the green areas are beautiful. So today we are going to be going through, just as a conversation starter, going through the last couple of years, not all of them. I cherry picked some comments, some questions that people had left on the channel for various videos. And sometimes people would ask the same question over and over again. So some things people just wanted to know about. So I will kind of go through and answer those and show you some photography to go with it. And yeah, if you have anything to add or have some thoughts. Largest national park in the nation, Adirondack. I have never been there. My sister actually works for the Park Service, but she works up in Gates of the Arctic, up in Alaska. That is, she is a wildlife technician up there, and I think she's in the field as we speak. But I will put Adirondack on my list next time we are traveling toward the East Coast. All right, so shall we begin, folks? So we're going to start by kind of going through some questions folks have asked. And we're going to start with some Gasland. So this is our Gasland Zombie Bash game from October 2018. And I got a couple of questions from folks regarding that video. So Circle A369 asks, I've been looking for zombies to play Zombie Bash. Where did you get yours? Well, these are actually... this is the Bago Zombies from Twilight Creations, and they have a game called Zombies, which I think is actually in its 20th year. It's kind of a tile-based board game with several different incarnations, and that's where we got our bag of zombies. And they have, I think, zombie clowns and zombie dogs and all kinds of different zombies, but this is just a plain old Bago Zombies. And let's see. Yeah, so 12 bucks. I'm sure you can get it cheaper on Amazon. Maybe have a smaller version of that. But we have a second question regarding this this particular video. Japan in Dan is asking about the Gaslands track and where did we get it. So he says that he bought this design on Drive-Thru RPG. So I'm assuming that is a digital file that he purchased, and but can't find a place to get it printed on neoprene. I'm sure you could get a paper print. And I know there's places that'll print on mousepad material. Maybe it's expensive. But he's asking, where did we get ours? Well, we purchased ours from a company called Inked Gaming. And let's see here. So there you go. That is the Wasteland Dirt Track Wargaming mat. We purchased a 36 by 36 because that is the size of our table. But if you have space for it, I would recommend going with the 4x4 because we simply found that the corners are really tight, especially if you don't play Gaslands very often. Navigating those corners, we were always crashing into the wall. So I think if you got the 4x4 version, you probably would have a little more room, a little bit more margin of safety, and you wouldn't crash into the walls quite so much. So if you watch some of our early Gaslands videos, we're crashing into everything. So yeah, I think just its corners are a little tight on the 3x3, but that's just my personal opinion. Okay, next question. Now we're going on to Galactic Heroes. This is a game by game designer Jay Wiley, and this is based on the Fistful of Lead system. And Sergeant D, please tell me, he says, that the blue hover car was a deodorant in a former life. And that is exactly correct. That is a old speed stick container that we thought kind of looked like a spaceship. So we pulled some stuff out of the bits box, and we took half of a foam sphere and kind of cut it there to fit on the top, and stole some parts for some other toys and some, I think the fins are made out of those little plastic wings that go on electrical switch boxes, things like that. But that is indeed just a speed stick container that's been converted into some sort of an atomic roadster. So there is the unpainted car. We used some green stuff for filler, and as you can see, we just kind of glued little parts on it. And the little fins on the side, or the little, whatever you call them, the shark gills on the side, they were just part of, in Rogue Trader tradition. Yeah, I didn't realize that until people started mentioning it, that in one of the early, I don't know if it was White Dwarf or whatever, but they made a tank out of a shampoo bottle, which looks pretty cool. So this is the sporty version of that. Got a bit of a Fallout vibe. Yeah, I'm a big, I've wasted a lot of time playing Fallout. So one thing is, if your hobby skills are perhaps not that polished, then by doing something that looks like it's out of the wasteland, you can get a little bit of forgiveness because it's been through hell. So that is our atomic roadster. And so yes, indeed, Sergeant D, that was once before a deodorant container. So that's pretty cool. The hard thing about getting hobby projects started sometimes is just to start them. And so that literally could have sat in the bits box for another 15 years. But we built it, and I'm happy we did, and it was kind of a neat little project. Rhino 10, welcome. Rhino 10E. Okay, our next question involves, is question number 4. Question number 5, I guess. I guess I skipped question number 4. Pulp Alley Skirmish game, Dead Rising Christmas Village, posted December 2020. Cat Eyes Entertainment says the terrain is awesome. Would you mind sharing where you got those buildings, bridges, and everything from? Well, most of this stuff came from the dollar store. So those red Christmas boxes, those are just gift boxes we got from the Dollar Tree for $1 a piece. And then a lot of the other stuff came from, let's see, where are we here? A lot of the other stuff came from going to Walmart and or Michael's the day or so after Christmas and just buying the used Christmas diorama stuff, like on 70 to 80% off. So those bridges are from Michael's, and Walmart has a bunch of stuff. So those little wreaths and Christmas packages, and trees. Trees are a great thing to get. Pine trees. Get those at Walmart on the day after Christmas, and they're dirt cheap. But let's see. This river here, though, in the middle, that came from a company called Stratagem. That is their Rushing Waters Wargaming Train Pack. And so those are just little sections of neoprene kind of mouse pad material that have river sections printed on them, and you can set them up in any configuration you want. And so we got that on Amazon from a company called Stratagem, but also we got these road sections from the same company, also from Amazon. Now, my only beef with this, if you look at the corners, because when it was delivered, it comes in sort of a hockey puck shaped but bigger. Buenas noches. Hello, Jose. Carrying case, and they folded it for shipment. So all of the pieces are bent at the corners. And so I need to figure out a way. We tried ironing them. That didn't really work. What I'm going to try to do this summer, it's hot enough now, is I'm going to get 2 big pieces of glass. We have some in the garage. Stargrave again? Someday, Jose. I'm on my own right now for the next few days, so I need to have someone helping me with the board. But yeah, we'll get back to that here pretty soon. But what I'm going to try to do is take 2 big heavy pieces of glass and put that parchment paper, that nonstick parchment paper, in between them, and then sandwich these sections and put them out in the sun and see if, hey, Jose, and see if that'll flatten some of that stuff out, because it just irks me a little bit that they're a little bit curled at the corners. So that is one of the things that we're going to try to deal with this summer. All right, on to the next question. So this was Pulp Alley, Dead Rising Christmas Village, Pulp Alley by our friend Dave Phipps. And he was on our first live stream about a week or 10 days ago. Okay, next question. Gasland's Battle Report, Escape to Christmas Town. So we're on a holiday theme. Thank you, Jose. Appreciate it. We try our best. So we talked about the road sections from Stratagem. That's those there. And this was our Gasland's holiday special, where the Grey Woods, the Griswolds, I forget what we call them in German, but how many cameras do you use to make your videos? We generally do 4. If it's a battle report, we generally do 4 camera shoots. 4 cameras and 2 digital audio recorders. So it is, you film a 3-hour battle report, you're dealing with 12 hours of audio. And so it's a bit of a beast. So, Gaslands, refueled. Cosmo Noodle asks, now I don't know why he put this comment in with this particular video, but he did. Have there been any tabletop games you've played that you absolutely hated? You know, I don't know quite how to answer that, but the best answer I can give you is the Labyrinth board game. We have a couple of friends who are big fans of the Labyrinth movie. That's the Jim Henson puppet movie with David Bowie as the Goblin King and a bunch of other people in it. And we tried to play that board game with them, but it just was so boring, so mundane, so boring, so mind-numbingly boring. What's my favorite Squirmish game? I'll get to that in a second. That the entire number of people who were trying to play this game, we all abandoned ship after about 45 minutes. So I cannot recommend Labyrinth unless you're a fan of the movie. And yeah, and just want it for a collectible. My favorite Skirmish game, that's a little bit hard to say because it just sort of depends on the mood and the genre. What have we been having most fun with? You know, Gaslands is always good. Stargrave, Frostgrave are always good. We were big fans of Song of Blades and Heroes. We haven't played that in a little while, so it kind of got relegated to the back burner. Anything short, short rule sets, 48-page rule sets cover to cover are great. We don't need a whole lot of fluff, and we don't need, really in-depth, crunchy rules. That's just a personal preference. Hard to keep that all in your head, and I think hard to master, especially if you're jumping from game to game. So makes me feel better that my kids bought the Labyrinth board game for my ex-wife. Wow, Addicted to Lead. We won't get into that. But anyway, some people might love it. I just, for us, I think we had some bad die rolls, and I kept getting stuck in the swamp, and so we weren't making any progress. And so people said, well, let's rotate to something else. So anyway, Labyrinth. Cannot recommend it, but yeah, who knows? Maybe someone out there likes it. Let's see. Question number 7. Star Wars tabletop buildings and terrain. Let's see if we can find that here. Okay, here we go. So this goes back a ways. So this was sort of a collection of store-bought terrain pieces and some stuff we had built. Just some gonzo terrain building projects. Just slapping stuff together with bits of, foam cubes and some of that drywall tape and other things that we had. There's some old, up to the upper right, you can see there's some old garden hose connectors, for the, spraying the water on your garden that we got from Goodwill for 50 cents. So, just this and that. But anyway, the question that John L5555 said, his question was, can you tell me where you got, isn't Flying Lead the same as Song of Blades and Heroes? I don't believe so, Rhino. I think Ganesha Games is Song of Blades and Heroes, and I think Fistful of Lead is Wily Games. So I think they are different. So I believe this is the 3x3 Badlands mat from Frontline Gaming. Let's see if we have an example of that. I don't think I do. This is the 3x3. They sell their mats in a number of different configurations, number of different sizes. We even have some kill team size mats. Correct on FFL versus SOBAH. I like them. We have a bunch of these. Obviously, we're going to film videos for different genres and for different environments. We want to have some mats. They're not terribly expensive. We like to play games on a 3x3 because that's the size of our table, and our table is determined by the size of the room we had. So this is pretty much our configuration. And Brutality looked fun. What have you found best for campaign mechanics? We did not play more than a couple of games of Brutality because we were bouncing off to other things right after that. Campaigns. I'm going to throw that out to the audience there. I swear we do not. We keep threatening to play long campaigns, but we tend to rotate from game system to game system because something else will come out and we want to cover it. So I guess I would throw that out. Strange Glowing Monkeys, I would throw that out to the audience there, to the viewers, and say, what are your favorite games for campaign mechanics? I will tell you, a game we haven't played that looks pretty good for that is Rangers of Shadow Deep, because I think it ticks a lot of the boxes. It looks pretty simple. There's a lot of scenarios there. We can play it cooperatively if we want to, and it seems like there is some room for advancement of your characters as you go along. So that's one of the things I would like to look further into, and I think we're going to try to do some gameplay videos here. Rangers of Shadow Deep, Addicted to Lead, absolutely. Okay, so that is the Badlands mat, and then we had another question from a different guy, Jorge Salas. Who made that land speeder? Is it Micro Machines or Power of the Force? The scale is spot on. That, Jorge, is actually a Disney Store die-cast land speeder, and I think we got that on eBay brand new for about 15 bucks, and I checked because sometimes the prices go up, and the prices on these are all over the place. Your advancements aren't as quick as Frostgrave, so it's harder to outpace your characters. Have a very high Stargrave fever right now. We're going to discuss a little bit about that here in a few minutes. So anyway, this is the Disney Store die-cast land speeder. Obviously, you could weather it a little bit if you wanted to, but it is pretty close to 43 scale. And, you know, for 15 bucks or whatever, if you can find it. Now, the prices are all over. Some people will try to charge a lot more, but if you look around, you should be able to find something in the $15 to $20 range if you're interested in that. So, okay. Next question. How are we doing here, folks? 10 watchers. Hey, thanks everybody for joining us. So many new Skirmish games have been released recently. Yeah, there is a dearth of them, not only from some of the bigger independent publishers like Osprey, but so much stuff on Wargame Vault, so much independent stuff coming out. Hard to keep track of, so I think you gotta kind of pick and choose where you want to put your time. So Steve Marino, how the heck do you do those video overlays? Okay, so he's referring to, I guess, some of the special effects that we throw on some of the videos, which are just for fun. This is not anything that's too advanced, just something that we can do with the system we have here. And basically, a lot of those overlays, like the irises and things like that, the flaming irises that we use to sort of identify some of the characters that are moving and things, are Final Cut generators. So those are, we work in Final Cut as our editing program. And there is sort of an associated app made by Apple called Motion, which is for making motion graphics and motion titles and things like that. And so we have that. We are not experts at it, but we know enough to be able to go in there and pick out a particle generator and set the, set the time frame for it, and can make some really simple effects. Now, another thing you can do, and that we have done as well, is there's a lot of third-party sort of designers who design their own Final Cut motion templates, and you can get those from online sort of co-ops like Evanto. Evanto Marketplace is one where a lot of people sell their stuff, and so you get a license to use their overlays. And the only thing I would say about that is be very careful that whatever you buy is compatible with your editing software and your computer. Now, Mac has just moved over. The new Macs now have a new M1 chip, and a lot of the old overlays, the old generators, will not work on the new with the new M1 chip. So you got to be careful about that. Okay, so that is Steve Marino asking about video overlays. Okay, question number 10. Urban Manhunt tabletop miniatures game. Let's see what's going on here. This was an independent game, and I forget the author, excuse me, but she had contacted me and said, hey, we have a game we sell on Wargame Vault, and would you like to take a look at it? And yeah, I'm a big fan of Running Man. I'm a big fan of Escape from New York. I'm a big fan of all of those kind of post-apocalyptic cityscape type games. And so the point of Urban Manhunt is that you are a hunter. It's a televised sporting event. You go into the zone, and then those numbered pods there, those numbered pipes, criminals kind of pop out sort of at random, and then you hunt them down, and sometimes they hunt you, depending on how aggressive they are. So the question for Urban Manhunt tabletop miniatures game, which we posted in October 2019, from Space Ranger 42, because Space Ranger 0 through 41 were taken. What minis are you using for your thugs and such? So a game like this, you could have quite a lot of criminals on the board, and sometimes the cards you pull will designate a different type of criminal. So you need quite a few criminal figures available. And so here's the Urban Manhunt cover, if you're interested. So I like, let's see, where is it? There we go. So Horror Clicks is a game that has been out of production for 10, 12 years, maybe more. And so there's a lot of people selling their lots of their kind of Horror Clicks figures. And so they have a lot of sort of depraved psychopaths in the Horror Clicks line. And so I like to take some of these guys, and I like to pop them off the base, and then repaint them a little bit, not a whole lot, but throw some shade on there, or fix any little painting errors that were done on the assembly line, and those become our crims. And so that's a way. I don't want to sit there and paint another 30 miniatures if I don't have to, but I don't mind rebasing some guys and tidying up a little bit, because then we have sort of a huge shelf full of criminal type, weirdos that we can use in our games. This guy is actually he's a rescuer. He is the survivalist. So he's actually a good guy in Horror Clicks, but he makes a pretty good crazy outlaw. So that's what we used him for. So that is Urban Manhunt. Worth a look. It's a game you can play solo or cooperative as well, or also player versus player. So sometimes those games in Wargame Vault are pretty interesting, and they're not that expensive. So you just get a PDF, and if you're looking for something a little different, I would check this out. We had fun with it. Okay, next question. We're up to question 12 from Lucas Brothers. He's actually asking two questions. Rune Wars. Oh. Yes, this is question 11. I jumped ahead. Space Ranger 42 asks about Rune Wars. I rebased some common soldiers and gang members from Hero Clips. Yeah, and some of the Hero Clicks independent comic figures from several years ago. They're pretty cheap, and there's some interesting like Street Samurais and folks like that. Hola, SEM. Okay, so when FFG was starting to sort of decline their support for Rune Wars before it went completely under, these sets were pretty cheap. And so we got some of these. I forget what the cost was, but it wasn't much compared to how many miniatures you get in there. And so Space Ranger was asking, had we tried painting them yet? And actually we did. We did paint a bunch of these. Let's see. We painted them. I'll just mention these other ones too. Here's another set. These are some good demon type miniatures if you're looking for some cheap minis to play Reign in Hell, which is a new indie game that's kind of getting a lot of press these days. So if you're looking for some cheap demons, check out Rune Wars. You can find them on Amazon. You can find them other places. But if they're still out there, pretty inexpensive. So yeah, so we played a game of Open Combat, which is a pretty good system. That's a game that I enjoyed, and they actually have a sort of a swashbuckling addition to that we haven't played yet that we want to. But this is open combat, and so we painted up some skeletons, some revenants, and then some elves to play our game of open combat. If you haven't seen this battle report yet, it's pretty fun, so you should check it out. But I do want to try Rain. Yeah, we have it. What I understand was we bought the hard copy, and then I understand there was some typos and stuff in it. So I hope we could get an updated PDF with the actual correct rules, because I think our hard copy doesn't have all of the stuff we need. So there's the elves. Lynn painted these elves and then coated them under a big layer of clear coat. And then the undead. So there's the undead. I think I like the undead a little bit better than the elves. These miniatures are pretty easy to put together. Usually you just have like legs and torso to snap in there. But pretty good. I think there's nothing wrong with these at all. So they were pretty inexpensive. So my only thought on them is that they come pre-based. So if you have some preferences on basing all your guys consistently, you know, your other minis that you might want to, you know, kind of merge these guys into, that might be an issue. Bought some Rune Wars because you still needs painting. LOL. Yeah, we have Rune Wars that haven't been. I did prime a bunch of demons, and so maybe they'll get painted here pretty soon. The other thing is that the elves are tall. I don't have a comparison mini for you right here, but they're pretty tall. They're about 7 feet tall in scale, and so if you're using, you know, some old GW elves or whatever, they're going to be dwarfed by these guys. So that would be the one thing to keep in mind. But the price is right with these. All right, so how are we doing here? 725, doing all right. Welcome everybody. If you are joining us just recently, we're going through some questions that people have asked over the last couple of years on our YouTube channel comment section. So we're trying to answer some of those in case anybody's interested in that. So let's see, Rune Wars, there we go. Next question, question number 12 and 13 from Lucas Brothers. 2 questions, and this is involving our Star Wars miniatures AT-AT Imperial Walker Battle Report from November of 2019. Now, Star Wars miniatures was a mass market game from, I always get WizKids and Wizards of the Coast confused. I want to say Wizards of the Coast, right? And it was designed kind of for kids. So it is sort of a war game. There are stats. You do shoot. You make a single D20 roll to determine whether you're successful or not. And there are special abilities. But I think for a Star Wars fan, particularly somebody who doesn't want a really crunchy rule set, particularly someone younger, this is a kind of fun game. And the models are pretty cool too. So we got that big AT-AT. We unboxed that. That was one of the first unboxing videos we did way back in the day. So, Lucas Brothers asks, Star Wars miniatures, is it better than Legion? And that's apples to oranges, I think. I don't want to, you know, I don't want to say anything that's going to get the Legion fans mad at me. I would say if you want a really simple game where you don't paint anything, then yeah, maybe that suits your needs a little bit better than Legion would. If you like painting, modeling, or prefer a meatier rule set, or want to really get in, you know, into a game that has a lot of support from the manufacturer and there's new releases coming out all the time and it's got a lot of legs to it, then Legion's probably the way to go. But if you just want to, you know, move Star Wars figures around the board with your kids, you know, you can go on eBay and find, you know, old Star Wars miniatures sets, loose sets for, they're pretty inexpensive. You know, as long as you don't want the rare ones, you can get kitted out pretty easily. Lucas Brothers also asks, is it cheaper than Legion? And like I just said, if you can hunt down loose cards and figures on eBay, the commons and stuff, no, it's not that expensive at all. The game has been out of production, so I don't know if some of the suppliers are dwindling or not. Now, I do have one thing to say about Legion here. So, the speeder truck, I want one of these speeder trucks because it looks like a space van. It looks like some kind of landing vehicle. But again, you're paying for a brand new product from a big manufacturer. And so, you know, $47.99 plus $4 estimated tax. So you're into this for about 50 bucks. You know, I don't know if I could really pay 50 bucks for it. I could try to make something similar, but it's a pretty cool model. So if that was down to about 25, I think I'd jump on it. But they do make some nice things, but you're gonna pay for it, you know, obviously, because they got You know, they got to buy a new wing on the villa, right? I'm not knocking anybody who makes a product and puts it out there. People can buy it or not as they wish. But yeah, it can be pricey. Okay, so next question. What do we got here? Question 14. Rough Riders versus Grotz. Kill Team Battle Report. So this is not probably a fully sanctioned battle report. We took some Rough Riders, sort of took some 7th edition rules and mashed them up with some 8th edition rules and tried to make some stats that would work. Those older Star Wars figures also include lots of bounty hunters and civilians that work in Stargrave. Absolutely. There's a lot of, yeah, we used, we haven't used those for Stargrave yet, but you absolutely could. And again, if someone's not set up to paint, if they don't want to, if they don't have the, you know, they don't want to get into the expense, or that's not a segment of the hobby that appeals to them for whatever reason, that allows you to play a lot of different games by picking up some of those pre-painted plastics. So anyway, so this was our Rough Riders versus Grotz, and so the story here was this Imperial Guard vehicle was out in the desert. This was a scout vehicle. It got hit by an orc flyer. The Ludas came out of the woodwork to strip the wreck, and so that band of Rough Riders at the top of the screen was sent out to scatter them so the salvage vehicle could come in and recover the wreck. So that was the point of that scenario. So there are no Rough Riders in Kill Team at this point that I'm aware of, but we wanted to use them. They're just too cool not to use them. So let's see. I didn't write down who asked this question. Thank you for another great video. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And will we see Mongo return again, I wonder? So what he's referring to is that sometimes you play a game and characters get named because they do something particularly heroic. Here this is Mongo, and we called him Mongo because it looks like he had stolen a... Mongo is a character out of Blazing Saddles from, what, back in the 70s, right? And it looks like he'd stolen a Rough Rider's hat there. So Mongo was one of the Grotz. He was successful in rolling a barrel of loot off the board, and so he became a hero of legend. So Mongo became a named character, a named miniature, and let's see. And after his successes in Kill Team, there's Mongo by the Green Crystals. He entered Brutality. So he was in our game of Brutality. He was the leader of Mongo's Misfits. They were a smash and grab band of bandits. And so they snuck into the cannibal camp to try to steal some power crystals. And so Mongo was successful in mining crystals. He did get shot, though. He did get killed. But in Brutality, you wake up the next morning in more or less the condition that you were in when you got killed. So it's like an eternal war universe where you get killed and you keep coming back. So Mongo was killed, but he survives to fight again. So that is Mongo, Mongo's Misfits. And as we play games, characters like King Rat or Nigel or whatever, they become named miniatures, and then, you know, yeah, it adds a little more personality when they come back to another game. So yes, Mongo will be in the rotation quite frequently. And Lynn has actually painted up a Tyranid pet for him. So he's got some sort of a spiky Tyranid that he's going to be bringing with him next time he comes out to play. Mongo should be a captain on Stargrave. Yeah, you know, we strongly considered that, but Lynn has gone absolutely ape on painting her Stargrave crew. It's pretty good. It is amazing. She painted her first miniature 2.5 years ago, something like that, and it's amazing to see the progress. She's really prolific, and her Stargrave crew is crazy. It's just anyway, we'll show that to you here. I'm not doing as well on mine. I've been slacking off. So, okay, where are we? Brutality. Okay, so the next question, question 15. Brutality Skirmish War Game, Bandits versus Cannibals. This game here, posted July 2020. Where did you get that terrain? Well, that is monster scenery from Monster Fight Club. And let's see, where are we, folks? And this was a Kickstarter that we supported. And I have to say, I'm extremely impressed with it. So the trees, you can take the canopies off, you can put them on. The bridges are all kind of modular, so you can make whatever sort of walkways you need. The stones are designed to work with the bridges. They're made so that miniatures can stand on them. So really well thought out and really well done. And so I would recommend, I don't have any stock in this company, but if you want to check out Monster Fight Club, the scenery is excellent. And I've actually supported 2 more of their Kickstarters. They have sort of a Frostgrave type set that's coming out here shortly, and then some modern cityscape stuff, which would be good for Crisis Protocol or any kind of modern, street battle game you want to play. And so we should be getting that in a few months, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that looks. But yeah, I was sometimes you get disappointed, and sometimes it exceeds expectations, and that was the case with Monster Fight Club. So I'll just tell you how I think about it. Okay, question number 16. All right, so Marauder era. So we did a video where we bought like a $19 box of old Warhammer Fantasy minis, just kind of loose, and some in pieces. And some of them, like Helga there, is that Helga, the dwarf with the blue dress and the axe, are definitely Marauder era miniatures. I don't know if Helga was Marauder, but somebody asked, so Lena Roz 94, what the heck is the Marauder era? And will you guys be trying out Adam and Vince Rain Hell Skirmish game? Jay, I have it. I'll explain why in a second. We are sort of trying to figure out how to produce battle report videos more quickly with less brain damage for myself. I would like to see, and I'm going to ask them if they want to, see if Adam and or Vince would like to come on the live stream and walk us through a game. Now, they're way up in the stratosphere and we're way down in the niche channel level. But if they're interested, we would love to have them on. And that's a little easier for us because then the creators of the game can actually explain the rules as they go rather than our perhaps imperfect interpretation of it. So that is a long-winded answer of when Lynn gets back into town, yeah, we'd like to reach out to those guys and see if one or both would like to hop on the channel. We shall see. Okay, so Marauder era. Now Marauder, and some of you guys may know the answer to this much better than I do. So Marauder, you could find Marauder miniatures advertised in earlier editions of White Dwarf, and it seemed like they were making miniatures for 40K and for Warhammer Fantasy, in addition to GW stuff. So GW had their lines, Marauder had their lines, they were kind of complementary. I think there was something about the designers of Marauder miniatures had worked for GW, went up and did their own thing. Maybe there was still a connection, we don't really know. Maybe it got reabsorbed. But for a few years there in the late 80s and early 90s, there were these additional kind of minis from a company called Marauder that you could use for 40K and Warhammer Fantasy. So when we talk about Marauder era, it's kind of in that range. So some of these might be GW minis, some might be Marauder minis, and you're welcome, Jay. And they kind of just work together. So the only way you can really tell, I guess, is look at the Trish and Ali Morrison. Yeah, I don't know the whole story behind that, but there was, they were sort of separate, but maybe not. Maybe they were still under the GW wing, maybe not. Maybe they had a couple of designers that needed to go out and do their own thing, but still. Anyway, I don't know. But that's what we talk about. That's what we mean when we talk about Marauder era. So there we go. Okay, next question. I think GW owned them as a side business. That's kind of the impression I got too. Like it was separate, but yeah, maybe the designers just needed a little more freedom to do their own thing, set their own hours or whatever. Okay. So Mordheim Battle Report: Undead versus Frenzied Mob, October 2020. So Jay, this is your question, buddy. You remember this? I think it's the same Jay. Maybe someone else is using your letter, using your consonant. But so Jay asks, so at 40 minutes, 11 seconds, you have a close-up of the dire wolf attacking a hut, and I have to ask, where'd you get that little cabin / hut? Did you make it? So the hut he's talking about, if you look at the top of the screen there in the middle with the yellow meeple by the door, there is a little kind of wood grain hut. And the answer to that question, there's the frame he's talking about. So this started, there was a company called, there was a company called Plastcraft, and they're out of business now. They may be coming back, but they had some colored terrain, which we have a bunch of. And then they had some of these just like blank white foam kits. And so this was a cabin kit. It was just, foam sheet, and we glued it together. During that same era, hey, Doug! Ralph Parther was selling GW figures and another Ralph Parther imports in print as well. GW wasn't the insular monolith that they have become. Huh. News to me. I'm a big fan of Ralph Parther from back in the late 70s, but I haven't seen any of their GW stuff. I'll have to keep an eye out for them. So anyway, so we had this white foam sheet cabin, and it was pretty lame when you put it together. And we thought, well, we can paint it, but Lynn wanted to go to town on it, and so she glued it together. The door is unpainted resin, the door frame. And then she kind of took a bunch of hobby sticks. So we had bought some hobby sticks from Walmart. We had old, that's a good haystack by the cabin. That is actually like a Pathfinder terrain set, one of those 4D terrain sets. So it's just good for scatter. So, we steal the stir sticks from Starbucks, not a lot of them, maybe a couple when we go. We also found that we have a Hispanic grocery store just up the street that sells tamale sticks in a pack, and those are pretty inexpensive. So this this cabin here, those are probably craft sticks, hobby sticks, tamale sticks, stir sticks. Anyway, so she just cut them to length, and then took wood grain. I forget exactly how she did it. I think she painted each strip a slightly different color, and then put GW or Vallejo wood grain over it. And then we left it out in the sun for a few days and let it bake and let the colors kind of set in. And that was the results. So it's pretty good. And this is one of the things where if we set it out in the sun over the course of the summer, it'll just get better and better. It'll just get more and more weathered and really look like an aged hovel. So that is the story behind that. All right. Question number 18. So that is the cabin in the woods there. So this is, all right, we're going to get into something here. Chris L. This is the Stargrave Battle Report Salvage Crew, May 2021. Chris L. When you start your quote-unquote real campaign, have you thought about multi-part bat rep so we can see the entire scenario play out? Okay, so here's what that's all about. It's a fair question. So the first couple of Stargrave battle reports that we did were kind of practice games. We were really under the gun time-wise, and so we just kind of, the first game, this one here, or this is the second game. The first game, we just went in cold. We just kind of had the reference sheets. We kind of had a rudimentary sense of the rules. The second one, we were a little bit better. But in both cases, we kind of hit the 3-hour gameplay mark. And at that point, my brain gets tired. I don't want to do it anymore. The cameras are filling up. They're starting to fail because they're running out of capacity. And so we stop. We get to 3 hours in, and that's pretty much when we stop because I don't want to sit there and try to edit a 4 or 5 hour video. They're incredibly difficult to do the way we do them. Now, why do I do them the way I do? Well, I try to produce the videos that I think I would want to watch. There are people out there with many times, many multiples the number of subscribers that we have that just get by with a handheld camera that's jerking all around, and I can't watch it. I can't follow it. It's it makes me a little bit ill. Nothing wrong with it. It's a way to knock them out quick, and people have built empires doing it that way. So what we wanted to do is we said, well, let's set fixed cameras. Let's have a couple of mobile cameras. Let's set a couple of fixed cameras on tripods, and let's not have that. Let's make sure that no cameras are moving when stuff is being moved. And let's try to go move by move and explain what's going on to the best of our ability and add some cinematic elements and show the die rolls and all of that. Well, if you do all that, it's extremely labor intensive. And so we have for a 60-minute battle report video, It's about 60 hours of work. So roughly, when you include everything, the actual shooting and the editing and all that stuff, it's about 1 hour production time per minute of finished video. So it's not a practical way to do it. And the channel suffers because of it. Because if I can't produce a video faster than once every 2.5 weeks, we just don't produce that many videos. And so there are other channels that just start up and strip right past us, and we're still plugging along. The theory that what I was trying to do is I said, well, if I, in my mind, if I produce the best video I can produce, will there be an audience for it? And yes, there is an audience for it, and our audience is great, and we see a lot of the same people coming back over and over again, and it's, you know, it's like seeing old friends, even though we've never met you in person. But it's not a way to run a channel. And what we're struggling with is how do we maintain some level of high production quality and still produce as much as we need to? Because right now there's channels that can, you know, I could produce. We have videos where we put 40 or 50 hours into it, and maybe I get 700 views, and then someone else will page through the latest edition of White Dwarf and get 9,000 views. So I don't know what to say about that. I want to produce the highest quality stuff we can, but I also have to sort of respect the audience. If people haven't found us yet, or they're not interested in what we're doing, or we don't produce frequently enough, I don't quite have the answer to that yet. And so I'd welcome any feedback on that if people have any ideas. But we're working on it. We're trying to figure out how do we sort of balance out the big productions with faster stuff like live streams, or shorter videos like the hobby blogs or things like that, and find a balance to keep the post number up so that the algorithm likes us, and we can post more frequently. So the answer to that question is, would I do a 2-part video where we have like turns 1 through 3 in the first part and turns 4 through 6 to the end of the game in the next part? Well, that's going to be 100 hours of production out of my life, and it scrambles my brain like you wouldn't believe. And so I don't know. I would say if the audience is there, if we were getting the sort of response that would warrant, I see. Yeah, I'm glad you do. We're trying our best to produce, the best product we can. It's just a matter of, is there enough of an audience for it? And I don't know if it's right now, if it is the quality of the content, the subject matter, because we go off on some gonzo stuff. I mean, we did a video on the Gwar tabletop miniatures game. We do stuff that's out of production. We do independent games that almost nobody's heard of. We do some more mainstream stuff. We don't do the real big games. We don't really get into a lot of the current GW stuff, though we want to do some Rogue Trader and stuff like that, from the 80s. So it's either the subject matter, or we just don't post frequently enough, or something else. Maybe it's the fact we have war in the title of our channel. So I have not figured that out. We would like to produce as much as we can in the best quality that we can, and we're really appreciative of you guys. If it wasn't for you guys, there are days when the only thing that keeps us going is the fact that Addicted to Loud, I do video as my full-time part, as part of my full-time job. I do and just did a multi-camera setup, synced with a clapboard, and use the same, use something that supports multi-camera editing like DaVinci. I don't know anything about that. I like that you do smaller games. I like what you've been releasing. Part of it is the niche. Yeah, probably. I'm not, hey, Strange Glowing Monkeys, I'm not losing heart. I just have to be realistic. It is so the long answer to the question is, would I get into a 100-hour project? It's hard to finish a 50-hour project and then jump right into the next one. I mean, when I finish one of these, I swear I'll never do it again. And then a few days later, decide to kind of jump into it. And a new game will come out, and, I get a night's sleep, and I'm better about it. But we have not figured that out yet. So, we will try to do our best. I would like to keep doing the high-quality videos. I hope at some point that if we can post more frequently, if we can do a balance of other things, that the channel will grow. And once you get to a certain strata, the odd thing about it is that if you see some of the big channels, they can literally read a phone book and get 40, 50,000 views, which is great. They've developed an audience. People like them personally. They know who they are. They've developed a following. And so pretty much they can do anything. One of my favorites, now Fritz is not really high in the stratosphere, but Wargamer Fritz, who will sit in his car in a parking lot and just record a vlog on his phone and just post that with a still photo. You know, I think that's great. He just rattles off whatever is on his mind. And then some people who are excellent painters or have some other, you know, skill that really kind of sets them apart. First video I saw of yours was the review of the Russian toys. That was very cool. Might help your views if you stuck with one game for a longish time. I don't know, Jay. I don't know. Maybe. It's the problem is if it takes too long. So let's say I did that. Let's say that I said, okay, for the next 6 months, we're just going to do Stargrave, and we can only do 1 or 2 games per month. Fritz was pumping out 5 today. We just can't. We would be halfway into the year and still on Stargrave. It's not like I can crank one out every week. So that's a challenge. It's like steering a battleship. It takes so long to do each one, and that's another thing. We have some great people contacting us saying, "Hey, we've come out with a new game, or you want to check out a new supplement." I would love to. I absolutely would love to. I would love to work with more, small independent designers. It just takes so long to do. We can only do so much of it. And I don't have professional editors. I don't have a production crew like some people. I don't have in-house painters. We do everything ourselves. We buy old miniatures sometimes when collections come up on eBay, and so that speeds things up. But we just do what we can do, and there's so many hours in the day. Lord Novas, I like the quality of the videos. I respect your opinion on games because you play a lot of them. I want you to talk about your experience playing X or Y game without a bat rep. Yeah, well, thank you for that. We are not experts. We read the rules. Sometimes we have very imperfect understandings of them. All we can really give you is our impression. And like I've said, collaborate with other YouTubers. We would love to collaborate with other YouTubers. Like I think I've said in the past, imagine you're on a desert island and a rule book floats up. And so you and your other shipwreck members on the island, that's your rule book. And you read it and you learn how to play a game with coconut shells and pieces of dead crabs and rocks and things like that. However you interpreted that game is that game. And it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter what the author's intent was or what the letter of the rules was. It's only what you took from it. So maybe you go back to Civilization and you post a YouTube video and then the author says, "What the hell are you thinking about? That's not what I had intended at all." Well, that's sort of irrelevant because when you're in your capsule, when you're reading the book and you're playing the game, you're just taking from it what you take from it. And so that's why I say sometimes rules are irrelevant. Now, if you're trying to say that you are the end-all be-all authority on a game, an honest opinion is worse. Yeah, I can tell you, if you're trying to be an authority on a game and you're trying to give people, advice on how to win tournaments or something like that, that's a completely different animal. All we can really do is say, hey, we played it. If possible, we asked some questions of the author if they were available, and what you get is what you get. So you're getting a flavor of the game. Anywho, that's my rant for the evening. So yeah, we're trying to figure out some different things to do. I think the live streams are going to be fun. I think we're going to try to have more game designers come on the channel and play some games on a stream, which is easy to do. Not easy, but easier than doing a 40 to 50 hour edit job. And then and then occasionally when time permits, we'll try to do some of the big productions because I like doing them. I like the outcome, and it's just and we know how to do it. We've done about 30 of them now, and we've sort of figured out how to work with the cameras, how to strange glowing monkeys. Thanks very much, man. If you put out a video, I'll watch it. Well, don't say that because then we'll start slacking off, but I appreciate the sentiment. See, I appreciate it. So I think we will just do what we can do. Sorry, I wasn't disagreeing. Okay. Well, we're not too hung up on what's going on in the comments there. I'm sure everyone's all friends. No one has any ill intent. So anyway, that's my thoughts. We are still working on things. As you can see with the live streams, we're trying to do some different stuff. We are going to try to work with some different designers. I just talked with a guy named Rob Salt, who I believe is a service member, and he's designed a couple of games that he's going to be playing with us here on the channel once he gets his new update done. So Table Salt Games, I believe, is his company, so that'll be kind of fun. And then, yeah, we'll reach out to Uncle Adam and anyone else we can think of to see if they'd like to hop on board. Okay, folks, well, that is my questions. I got through my list. If you want to chat some, we got a few more minutes. I'll answer anything within reason that I can. And if not, maybe just share what you're working on these days, what kind of games you're enjoying, or whatever else is on your mind. I hope you're staying cool out there. We hit 100 degrees today, which is a little warm for us this time of year. My poor grass. I have a theory about my grass. I don't want to be the goat of the neighborhood. I can't be the best. I just don't want to be the absolute worst. Okay, so I see that our dialogue has kind of dwindled off, which is fine. I appreciate you guys coming out and checking out our live stream today. Lynn will be back here in a few days, and so we'll get her involved in something and play some games. We're going to try to get some people on to kind of just chat about wargaming as well. So hopefully that will be worth your time. So, folks, thank you very much. We wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for you guys. And will you do any mutant with death ray guns? Lee, do you have a P.O. box so people can send stuff to you? I do card-based activation of dice. What mutants and death ray guns? What I need to do is I have a friend here in town that I haven't talked to since before the pandemic because he's kind of in healthcare, and so we've kind of let him be. He is big into Song of Blades and Heroes, and so what I need to do is get Mark on the channel so that he can refresh my rusty memory. And if I could do that, if I could get him to beam in and walk us through a game, then yeah, we definitely could do that. I do have a P.O. box that people can send stuff to. I don't encourage it, really. You know, we're not trying to hustle people for free things. Sometimes people send it like we did that Warhammer 40K vintage unboxing. I was missing an arm for some metal mini, and some guy sent me an arm. I was like, oh, that renews my faith in humanity. So, Jay, if you will email me at info@skirmishwargames.com, I will send you our address if you're interested, if you have something. But we're not really, you know, we're not trying to hit people up for free stuff. But, you know, that's up to you. If someone's got a friendly thing they want to send us, then that's fine, you know. Card-based activation or dice. I want to say that Song of Blades and Heroes and Mutant Death Ray Guns, that is you roll dice for activating each of your characters, and if you flub it, you can actually lose all the rest of your activations, something like that. So not card-based at all. Okay. Anything else? Anybody else got something on their mind? All right, we made it through another one. You can send me anything you want. I'll take it all. Yeah, you know, I just don't want to be that guy, you know, who's out hustling for free junk. But then there's been some people who are just out of the goodness of their heart send us some really nice stuff that we needed. It's like, well, all right, you know, I'm not going to get crazy about it. So, okay. Well, I'm rambling a bit, so thanks very much, guys. We're going to call it a wrap here today, and we will see you soon. So stay cool out there, have some fun, and we'll talk to you again. Cheers.